play out, and also keeping track of Danny. Like he's one more step to get the use open, so pulling for him. But yeah, just for on our end of it here, just another day is trying to stack some days together here of teaching and building on our foundation, fundamentals and scheme installation. And so really just one day after another here, try to put one foot in front of another and keep moving in the right direction. But it's good to see those guys out there, and I think we're getting better. We just got to keep grinding it out.
Is the scheme installation any different this year with Mac? Just seeing him evolve, do you start to do things differently around him, obviously on offense?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of things different.
Bill, to go back to what you were talking about initially, how valuable over the course of the time you've been here and all the success all the teams have had has been that kind of inter-team camaraderie? I mean, Claude Julian, we've skated around out here, all those occasions. Has it been a valuable part of your experience
It's
here?
been great. Yeah, it's been great going all the way back to, when Rick was here, when I got here, Rick Pitino, and Bruins, Red Sox, Celtics. It's been a great relationship with our players and their players and the teams and the coaches from my standpoint. Enjoyed really all of them. And so, yeah, it's been great.
Do you wind up sharing it all?
Yeah, we talk.
Coaching or personnel? How do you deal with this?
Yeah, sure. There's some things in common. Both in Boston, pro sports are pro sports. And then when some of those guys move on, like Doc or Tito or, Tony, who was here, obviously briefly, Dave, Dombrowski, Theo, guys like that. It's good to stay in touch with them even though they're different organizations. Still got hope for the home team, but there's some relationships there that extend past the initial introduction.
On this Celtics team, I don't know how much you've been able to watch, but what have you observed from them that maybe you could apply to whether it's your own team or any team from a coaching perspective?
Well, I mean, obviously they played great in the last 2/3 of the season in the playoffs, and really consistent. They got a lot of good players and play really good defense. Well, they're tough. They hustle, play smart basketball. Pleasure to watch. Fun to watch.
Bill, how often do those conversations with coaches from other sports extend into just how to communicate with the modern athlete, for lack of a better phrase?
I don't know. Just a lot of things that come up. I'm not sure.
I would think that would be one thing that would just kind of cross
Yeah,
sports.
it probably is. Yeah. I know there's a million things.
Bill, speaking of conversations with other coaches or executives, you had Ron Wolf in the last practice we were able to watch. What's it been like, now with Elliot on staff, but maybe sharing more experiences, insights with Ron?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, Ron's awesome. Yeah, he's one of the guys who really has one of the founding fathers of scouting. One of that group. Gil Brandt and of course his experiences in Oakland with Al Davis, and then of course the Packers. But he brings a great perspective to, and totally unbiased. Wasn't part of any of the acquisitions of any of our players, but they're all just here and kind of his thoughts on them. And very interesting to get what he thinks, because there's no bias for any reason one way or the other. And yeah, so he's been great. Ron and I have talked about a lot of things, not related to football. We were on the top 100 committee together, and that was really interesting to get his insights into a totally different team and perspective. I think we saw a lot of things the same way, but there's things he was more familiar with and vice versa, and so that was really fascinating to talk to him about some of the players that he'd been with and what they were and guys they competed against. And so it was, yeah, no, it was great to have him here. Hopefully he'll come back.
You mentioned the scouting, and it's funny, Daniel Jeremiah, I'm sure you know, a long time ago, he put out something you had with Cleveland, prototypes for all the different positions. And to look at that and see the way it's evolved now, I remember this year at the draft, Zach Cox put out a thing about how Tyquan Thornton is the lightest player,
Yeah, lightest receiver, I think, yeah.
lightest receiver you've drafted. It's just an evolution of the game in scouting. Do you look at the way the game continues to evolve, the game on the field, which makes you guys have to react and see the interest?
Yeah, we change that every year.
Those profiles, so whatever.
And their values. Like what a third receiver was when that was written and what a third receiver is now, and a third corner, for example, or fullback, or, you know, positions that have been, are higher percentage play times versus lower percentage play times have significantly changed the values. I think you see that in the salary structures. And we kind of, you know, look at that as well at the end of the year, like what positions are, you know, how does that look just economically? Because that is a sense of a value, if you will, you know, league-wide. And then we can do whatever we want to do, but it certainly gives you a perspective on how the league values certain positions. Understand that the quality of the player at that position has a lot to do with it as well, but, you know, you start to average it out and things like that. And, you know, you can look at, you know, different, you know, 3-year cycles, 5-year cycles, 10-year cycles, whatever you want, and, you know, see what the value of the players is league-wide. And we can look at what it is with ours. Again, you know, some players you'd probably have to exclude because of, you know, they're extremely high value, which could skew it a little bit, but still they're all relevant. So, yeah, we're constantly adjusting it.
Bill, speaking of the evolution of the game, curious about kick returns and touchbacks, understanding that the rules have kind of depressed the impact there of certain returners with more touchbacks or just fewer yards returned. Does the role of someone who can be elite in that skill set, because it's just harder to overcome those circumstances, provide still as much value as he might have 15, 20 years ago, in terms of if you have a player like that who can gain an extra few yards or give you an extra few percentage points more likely to score, is that still something that's has value in today's game despite the overall depression of the impact of the role of return?
Yeah, no, of course not. You can't get on the ball. I mean, we had the best kicker off returner in football, and CP mostly saw touchbacks. And the ones he brought out are, you know, 8, 9 yards deep. Now, he had a big play for us, you know, at the start of the Super Bowl, but, you know, there's just not many opportunities. Most teams can take them out of the game. So, no, it doesn't have that same value.
Does it do the same on the other side for guys who might be specialists in terms of covering those plays?
Yeah, well, it's just in general depressed the whole special teams value because of the number of plays and the skill and the ability of the specialist. That's kind of overridden whatever you have or don't have in terms of your coverage. Punters, really good at placing the ball, hang time, just a lot fewer opportunities. Now, you know, here at the end of the year with the weather and all that, I mean, you're going to get more here than you will at some other places, but still not what it used to be.
Bill, we see a lot of teams, both in college and the NFL, have gone to run game coordinators, pass game coordinators as titles. Are those just new titles on jobs that have always existed, or has there been a change from what you've seen in coaching that led to those titles?
You have to ask them. I don't know.
So you've never talked to coaches that maybe had a run game coordinator and had kind of how that changed roles?
You'd have to ask those teams who does what, or I don't know. I couldn't speak for some other team or organization.
On Malcolm Butler, how much does his practice approach look similar to you from what you saw when he was here before?
Yeah, Malcolm works hard, like he always has. Very competitive. You know, he's out there scrapping for balls, and I think his aggressiveness and play style and all looks. I mean, we're not in pads, but yeah, it looks like it's about the same.
When you're evaluating a guy like that who's taken a year off, or roughly, what are some of the challenges in deciding whether they're ready for a return, whether they can be a contributor in their return?
Yeah. Oh, we dealt with a lot of that last year. You know, those guys that came back from opting out, Hightower and Bolden. We got, I don't know, multiple guys. So, case by case.
Bill, Josh Uche hasn't played a ton in his first couple years here. Steve called him a big piece of the puzzle for this defense. And last week we saw him line up inside, outside. Is that because you're trying to figure out where he's best, or do you think, despite not playing a lot to this point, that he's capable of wearing multiple hats for you guys on defense?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think I agree. I think he is a big piece of our defense. We'll see exactly what it turns out to be.
Do you think he has that inside-outside versatility similar like we've seen Dante in the past, Bill, here?
I mean, I think it's stretched to compare most everybody to Hightower. I mean, talking about one of the best linebackers that's ever played here. So,
Would you welcome Dante back for this season?
yeah, we'll just talk about the players that are on the team right now.
Have you been pleased with the way this rookie class has come in and kind of acclimated itself?
Yeah, I think they're trying. You know, they have a long way to go, like all rookies do. They're trying. They're getting better. Still a long way to go. You know, some of it's football. Some of it's being a professional athlete. Some of it's, you know, adjusting to the lifestyle and the demands, physical and mental, that, you know, they haven't faced before. Certainly, the competition is, you know, a big step for some more than others, but it's a big step for all of them. It's a giant step for some of them, and for others, it's just a big step. But either way, yeah.
Bill,
Two final questions.
just wanted to get back to that topic about the sort of changing values at certain positions and changing prototypes. At the receiver spot, would the ability to create explosive plays be something that would be more highly valued now than it was, say, in the 90s? I just remember talking to,
No,
no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I remember there's always a pretty high value on that.
I just remember having a conversation with Kevin Kelly when he was at Pulaski Academy. He said that the numbers sort of indicated that, at least this was at the college level, I think, so I don't know what the numbers are for the NFL. Explosive plays were sort of right there with turnovers in terms of being predictive of who wins and loses games. Is
Yeah, I
it
think
similar?
it's always been, well, I'm not sure about wins and losses. That's probably true, but certainly scoring. You know, if you give up an explosive play in a drive, they're going to score, and if you get an explosive play in a drive, you're going to score. I mean, that's what the stats would definitely back that up. And if you don't have one, then the reverse is true. So I think those have always, not sure about the exact numbers on it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got those memorized, because I don't. But yeah, we talked about that at the Giants. So that was how many years ago? 40. I don't think that's fundamentally changed. I mean, the Roy Greens and the real explosive players that we played against, you know, Gary Clarks and guys like that, you know, seemed like they're averaging 20 yards a catch. I don't know if they were or not, but it seemed like it. Those guys are a real problem.
Final question.
Is it true that you passed along some tips to Danny Woodhead to put him in position to potentially qualify?
No, I'm just pulling for him. Yeah. If he's relying on me, he'd be in a lot of trouble. All right, thanks.